Our project is on inclusive education, and it was created by Oliver Ledeen, Teresa Driscoll, Kyla Park, Elizabeth Whalen, and Rodrigo Sala. When discussing our experiences regarding students with disabilities, an interesting pattern emerged. We could remember moments in which these students were excluded. Children were put into quiet rooms, some did not meet the required grade criteria and were unable to progress, and in a few cases, students with disabilities were not seen at all. This exclusive education can be seen as a reflection of standardized education. Students who did not meet the average student criteria were shuffled out of the mainstream system when it became apparent that they would not fit the mold. Some were sent to entirely different schools from the beginning, with no goal of integrating them. Some of us could recall instances in which we interacted with students with disabilities, but these moments were fleeting, passing them in the hall, seeing them during assemblies, or only having elective classes with these students. We see this segregated education as a form of authentic education. These students had classrooms in mainstream schools, but they attended them in a specialized class. Their individual needs were being accommodated for, but they were still not being treated as though they could participate in the learning of the average student. One or two of us had very positive experiences interacting with students with disabilities, although in some cases this occurred in post-primary and secondary education within our careers. These students had spots in the classroom in which they could interact with peers in a very natural way. These students were given modified assignments and received support from educational assistants in order to be successful. This integrative education can be viewed through the lens of democratic citizenship education. The students are participating and through their day-to-day interactions can begin to learn from and teach other students in the classroom. Our studies in this class, along with very recent classroom shifts, have provided us with the most well-rounded view of what inclusive education can look like, and we've seen systemic sustainability education reflected in these encounters. Much like integrative education, students are supported with their peers in class, learning the same curriculum but in a way that is tailored to their individual learning needs. Some of us witnessed the occupational therapy rooms or body break stations that exist in schools for everyone, not just students with disabilities, to interact with. Some of us have seen Green Time in action, helping children with disabilities to cope or practice self-regulation. Inclusive education is not mainstream yet, but with systemic sustainability education in mind, we can think of the future possibilities and how we can start to practice inclusion in our classrooms today.
Let our classrooms reflect our vision of equality and justice for all.
Dare to imagine?